So, for this video, we're gonna talk about how to make a hip-hop song and how Santiago and I made our hip-hop instrumental for our passion project for Miss Leticia. So, how to make a hip-hop song. So, as you see, I left the guitar to the side. We're not gonna use that anymore. The intro you actually heard is part of the song. Now, if you listen closely to the song, you might be like, where's the guitar? I didn't hear it in the song. But if you listen closely, and I'll play it right now. That right there, which is actually the background for the song, is the exact same lick I played on guitar. Now you might be saying, what? That doesn't sound anything similar. Well, thing is, we used FL Studio to actually turn that lick and play it backwards. Now, by playing something backwards, you're not actually changing the tonality, the chords, or actually the key of the song. You're just changing the order in which the notes are arpeggiated. For the ones that don't know what arpeggios are, an arpeggio is basically when you play a chord and you break it down into individual notes and in the individual patterns. So we actually mix that pattern around and we put it backwards. That is the background of the song. Now, the next element in our hip-hop song was actually a piano. For the piano, we just basically use the same chords and it followed a simple pattern. You can listen to it on the song. It's very simple. It's a B chord, an E chord, and a D chord. It's extremely simple playing. After that, for the drums. Now, the drums, as in metal, which is the other episode I did, drums are extremely important for hip-hop. Why? Because drums are what make or break a song, the percussion. Now, for hip-hop, you gotta think about two individual components. One, which is you actually have the actual drums, and the other component is the 808. Now, for the drums, they have to sound quite synthetic. Sadly, most hip-hop songs use synthetic sounding drums, which will sound completely different to any other drum set that we used for the rest of our song. So if you listen to the song, the drums sound quite synthetic, and that's actually the sound we were looking for. The drums, you have to focus a lot on something that's extremely important, which is the hi-hat pattern. The hi-hat of the drums is actually the highest sounding part of a drum set. And it has to sound extremely rhythmical, it has to sound extremely moving, extremely touchy. Now, our song is actually quite slow, it's 80 beats per minute, and it was meant to be, when we made it, even though neither Santiago or I actually rap, we wanted to make it as a background for somebody who's willing to rap. It is a slow beat, 80 beats per minute, if I'm not mistaken, and it has, that sad vibe. Now, the other part of the drums, which is actually the 808, which is actually 808, that's how you call it. 808 is basically a mixture between the drums and the bass. You actually use kicks, but actually place notes into them. So the kick is actually the thickest part of the drums, like the most profound one, and it's the darkest sounding. And the 808 just mixes notes into it for you to have like an actual bridge between the bass and the piano and the guitar and whichever instrument you decide to use in your hip-hop song with the percussion. That's the 808, it makes a bridge. Alright, so other elements for a hip-hop song. Just focus on making it quite simple. Now, I said this before and I'll say it again. You focus on making the hi-hats too repetitive and too sound crashy and making the sounds like extremely complicated and everything, you'll end up with an actually completely different song and a completely different genre, which is actually just like electronic music. You're not looking for that in a hip-hop instrumental. You actually want to focus on knowing that what you're making is the background to something. Why? Because the hip-hop instrumental that we made, as I explained before, isn't meant to be an actual song by itself. It has to have a rapper over it, and somebody rapping over it. So just focus on knowing that you're actually making a background for somebody to sing over, for somebody to rap over, so don't make it too complicated. And that's basically it, you have to play around once you have the final mix, and I cannot emphasize this enough, use FL Studio. FL Studio is by far the best program when it comes to sound editing and getting samples and getting different sounds. It's by far the greatest program out there. It's a little bit expensive, but gotta do what you gotta do. Just yeah, just focus on using these great tools and these great programs. If you can't afford FL Studio, you're gonna have to go for some other free programs, I guess. And just, just let the vibe move you around. Hip hop isn't comes actually from R&B originally, and it's just a genre that is moved by vibe. You gotta be hit by a vibe, either if it's happy and fast or slow and sad. It just has to move you around. And hope you enjoyed this episode.